This is Mr. Beck Does Your Homework. This is physics homework number 8, question number 6. This is a great X-world, Y-world problem. It says a brick is thrown upward from the top of a building at an angle of 33.5 degrees above the horizontal and with an initial speed of 12.8 meters per second. So I have the top of a building. I'm throwing it up at an angle of 33.5, so this is 33.5, with an initial speed of 12.8 meters per second. The acceleration of gravity is 9.8 meters per second squared. If the brick is in flight for 3.4 seconds, how tall is the building? Well, what I know, let's see, X world and Y world. I know that my acceleration is 0 in the X world. I know that my acceleration is negative 9.8 meters per second squared in the Y world. I know that the time, they give me the time, is 3.4 seconds. And that's good over here too. The time is 3.4 seconds. I don't know the height of the building. I do know that this launch, I've got a launch speed and a launch angle. Now this is a monster. It doesn't belong in the X world or the Y world. But in the X world, I know that my velocity in the X world is going to be my overall velocity times the cosine of the launch angle. I know that in the Y world, my initial velocity is going to be my Y velocity from this, and that's going to be my overall velocity times the sine of theta. So now I've got my X world velocity is going to be 12.8 cosine 33.5. And in the Y world, my initial velocity is going to be 12.8 times the sine of 33.5. So now I've got an initial velocity, a time, and an acceleration. What I'm looking for is how tall is the building? Well, I actually don't even need my X world stuff here. I just want to find how tall is the building, so I'm looking for my Y. I want to know the displacement from here to here, and once it goes up and comes back down, it's going to have an overall displacement of Y negative in this direction. So that's what I'm looking for. I'm looking for my Y. So do I have an equation with initial velocity, time, acceleration, and Y? I do. It turns out that my height is going to be my initial velocity times time plus 1/2 my acceleration of gravity times time squared. So now if I plug in this 12.8 sine 33.5 as my initial velocity, I plug in 3.4 seconds as my time, 1/2 is obvious to itself, g is going to be negative 9.8, make sure you plug in a negative there, and then time squared, 3.4 squared. That will give me my answer, but that's going to be a negative number. It's going to give me a negative number because the brick is actually going to wind up lower than it hit. But if it asks how tall is the building, I'm going to convert that into a positive. So I'm going to absolute value that and get a positive answer. So I need a positive answer to the question, how tall is the building? Positive answer to how tall. Because we don't tend to measure buildings from their roofs down.